Merry Christophers, I'm Jen.
I'm David.
And we are back on this glorious Saturday morning. We hope that this video finds you doing well. And we do have a short little update from the last video. David did find out that he has a mild tricuspid leaky valve. Do your own Google search. He's either going to be fine or he's going to die, depending on which Google article you find. But we know he's going to be fine. The doctor actually told him that he wasn't super concerned, but he wanted to refer him to a cardiologist because his primary care doctor is not an expert on the heart. So he's being referred to a cardiologist who will really look, I guess, at the echocardiogram.
He's looking very hands-on there.
He's going to get in there and see what's going on.
He doesn't go in. No going in.
So for some of you that probably don't know, most of you probably don't know that David's dad actually had a stroke when he was 50 years old due to a hole in his heart, which he had had for a number of years, but didn't really know.
This is just a genetic thing.
Yeah. So David, as far as we know, does not have a hole in his heart, but we don't want to take this too lightly. He wants to, but I don't want to take this too lightly.
Yeah. I don't have anyone on my side yet of, oh, they said mild, just, leave it alone. Pretty much everybody's going, take all the tests you can get.
Because his reaction was, oh, the doctor said it's mild. That means I don't have to do anything, right? And I was like, no. So we're going to get you checked out. We'll keep you all updated. That appointment's coming up later in February. And hopefully we'll have some kind of update for you then. But today we're not here just to talk about David's health, but she's just loving all the attention that he's getting from everybody. That's like, what's going on?
Everywhere I go, Jen's told every single person I've ever met in my entire life. People I haven't seen in 2 years are like, are you okay?
But people are praying for you, and that's always a good thing, that praying for him to be okay, to have healing. And I know that a lot of you out there care about him, and you want to know what's kind of going on with him outside of just the floral stuff. If you've been following along with us for a while anyway.
Apparently I have leaks. Or a leak.
Ew.
I sprung a leak. I don't know.
Be careful what you say about that. That could be gross. Anyway, we'll see. I think it actually means your blood's flowing back a little bit instead of forward or something.
Or it's letting more out than it should.
Maybe. But he does have some symptoms that go along with it sometimes, like when he passed out in New York. I think that could have been related, but he says it's not. But anyway, we'll see what the cardiologist says, because neither one of us are doctors and we don't know. We're just guessing and doing our Google searches. So today, though, we hope maybe you found us because you did a Google search or a YouTube search. And
that had nothing to do with my health.
That had nothing to do with David's health. But it had something to do with Easter. Easter is early this year. It's actually coming up on March the 31st, the last day of the month. So you don't have a lot of time to plan for Easter. So it's time to get started now. And David, it looks like, has this cute bunny, and you have your dough bowl all ready, some spray bars in here.
Yeah, so
flowers.
We're going to take our braided jute bunnies, and we're going to do a couple different styles of those. So we're going to take 2 different dough bowls and 2 different braided bunnies and show you 2 completely different looks that hopefully will fit your house in one way or another.
Awesome. Well, let's get started.
So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to glue my spray bar into my dough bowl because you want that to be secure, and then that gives us a good base to start from. And I'm just going to press down on that for a few seconds just so that glue hardens pretty well to the base. And then we're going to stack a second piece on top of the first piece we just glued down. Let that sit for a couple of seconds. Should be good to go. And then we're going to add some Spanish moss. Looks like I grabbed a little bit too much. we don't want like a massive coating of this. Really, when you're using something like Spanish moss, you really just want to make sure that you've just got a light spread out coating so that you don't see the styrofoam very easily. But it's okay if you've got little tiny pockets because we're going to put the other stuff on top of it. So don't worry about if you see a little bit, just tear to the size that you need. Spread this out. Spanish moss does make a little bit of a mess, as does sheet moss, but it's worth it in the end because you can't see the styrofoam very well. And keep in mind that you can use either Spanish moss or sheet moss. A lot of times I'll use sheet moss, but I didn't have any with me at the moment, so I'm using Spanish moss. Really doesn't matter, it's just to hide your mechanics. So we've got that kind of placed on our styrofoam. There's a couple of spots you can still kind of see some styrofoam a little bit. You can maneuver that around if you want to, but we're going to cover most of it up anyway. So the next thing we're going to do is I want my bunny in the middle, kind of angled. So one thing that we really need is a way to secure this bunny. So this bunny is actually styrofoam with brown paper on the bottom. If I peel that up, you can see what they do is they cover the base with brown paper so you can't tell that this is actually a styrofoam mold. And I'm going to take the tag off of Mr. Bunny here. And then we're going to use a stem from something that we're going to use in our arrangement. So just pick a random stem. I've got this plastic stem. I'm just going to take my knife and whittle down the end of this a little bit till I get to the wire so that I can more easily just dip that in a little glue, and we're just going to stick that right in that hole that I filled up. And then our bunny is on a stake, which makes it really easy to add him to our styrofoam here. And then bunny's secure, don't have to worry about him going anywhere, and we can move on. Now that we've gotten everything ready, it's time to start with some of our florals. We're going to use this silver dollar eucalyptus. It's got really nice coloration to it and a really stiff wire in it, so I can bend this. Once I've glued this in, I can place it where I want it and make it curve in any direction. And what we're going to do is have this bunny, even though he's not a chicken, I guess he lays eggs. So we're going to make a little nest area. Basically, we're just going to kind of frame this in around him so that what you really highlight in it is the bunny. And I'm going to do this facing you so you can see exactly what I'm trying to accomplish here. But we're going to make the bunny the center of attention. And I'm just separating some of these pieces of eucalyptus so I don't have to use massive branches all at one time. It will allow me to separate them out a little bit. And this, I would probably say, is a one-sided arrangement. Since the bunny's facing one direction, I would say this would be a great, like a foyer table, buffet table kind of piece, instead of like a dining room table. I mean, you could use it, but it's all going to be kind of facing one direction for the most part. But I always put a few things in the back, just in case. Okay, we've got a little bit of our silver dollar eucalyptus in. Now we're going to add some of this fern spray. So using this fern spray now because we want to mix up the variety of foliages that we're going to use more than just for variety's sake. It's because it gives you different textures. It gives your eyes something different to look at so that it doesn't all look the same, like you got just a big hedge of eucalyptus or something there. So as long as, like, this is plastic, these are a silk foliage leaf, so it really does make a difference to some of those things because it breaks everything up and doesn't make it all seem so much of the same item. And we don't want this to be extremely uniform. It's going to be slightly asymmetrical, so you can see we've got, you know, some pieces going up a little shorter over here, some going a little taller over here, but we still want to make sure that they frame in our bunny. And keep in mind to put a few things in the back, just in case someone decides to put it on my dining room table, and then you're covered. Okay, one last piece of this fern. All right, so we've got a good start, I think, right here, where I don't need any more of the eucalyptus or the fern. I think what we're going to do at this point is I'm going to use a few of these figs. I'm going to use a little bit of fig just because I want to give it something a little bit different than just floral. So you may have seen me use this one before, but for this I am just pulling the stems off because a lot of these items like this part is a plastic mold and they will tape this part to the stem to secure it. But we don't need the entire branch at one time. So I'm taking it apart. Now we want to add a little bit of color, and we're going to do that with some various items like these. This is our ball chrysanthemum, and it's like a pinkish blush color. And we've got a few roses, kind of a peachy yellowy color, and some open cabbage roses. So we're going to use several different items in the same color family just so that they work really well together. And we've got some kind of going up. I need some kind of going out of our arrangement here on the edges. And then we've got a little bud, so I like to let those kind of trail out the sides or keep them more toward the middle. This one, we're going to let those kind of come out the sides here. And I'm going to let this one be a little bit lower on this side, just keeping with our foliages. And again with our little bud coming out to the side. I've got the roses that I'm going to use. It's kind of a spray rose, and we're going to separate these out. So places where I've got two like this, sometimes I will cut those apart. So I've got two individual pieces. And we're going to put a few of these toward the front. A little color in front of the bunny. Do the same thing on the back side, because like I said, just in case you put this in a place where you would be able to see the front and the back, I like to put a few things in the back side just to be sure. And I think for this last little piece, I'm going to leave it together and let that go out the front there. So we could really be pretty close to done at this point. I could add my other cabbage rose, this open cabbage rose piece in. And I think I'll just add a little bit of that, just because I've got a little bit more floral on this side than I do on the other. I want to make sure that that balances really well. So let's get that one in there. And then it gives me another piece that I can use on the back side. And then really we're pretty close to finished here. We just want to make sure that I add some of our eucalyptus. I'm going to use this eucalyptus bunch that's got some small stems on it, and I'm going to use that just to kind of fill in any places that I feel like need just a little bit more, or anywhere that you can see some of the styrofoam. Good place to add that in, just to hide that and make it appear much more natural. Even though it's a bunny made of jute, we still want all of the foliages around it to seem like they are naturally grown. I need one more of these, more toward the front. Only a couple more pieces to go. We're just making sure. I like to look around and see if I missed anything, if I can see any of the styrofoam, and just tuck some of that eucalyptus in. It works really well for that. Alright, there we go. 1, bunny dough bowl ready to go. Now we're going to do a different version, very similar, but we're going to do a different version of the same kind of thing with a different color dough bowl. This one's going to be much more like washed out, dried looking colors, but we're going to use the same bunny, except different shape, and show you what this one looks like. We're going to get a little bit of our Spanish moss, and for this particular piece, I am letting the styrofoam stay a little bit lower. I didn't double stack this one, so makes a little bit of a difference, but not too much. And you'll see why when I get closer to the end. All right, got that placed. Do the same thing with our bunny. Take the tag off of him, and then we're going to use one of our stems. Shave the end off a little bit. I think I'm going to shave the end off of this other side too. A little thicker plastic on this one. And then our bunny can easily be placed in his little basket here. And then we're going to use some of our dried magnolia leaf. I get ahead of myself sometimes. I tore this one up. But we're going to use some of this just to give it a little bit of a greenish brown base. We're going to hide some of that so it's not so dark. I'm going to add a lot of lighter colors to it. But that little magnolia branch goes a long way. Always one of our best selling items for people that like that French country style and those softer muted colors. It's just got some very light graying on the edges of the leaves, and that really tones down the greens and the browns, but it gives you the greens and the browns. So always a popular leaf there. And then let's go to our washed eucalyptus spray. I'm going to cut this up because it's got a few different pieces on one branch. And we want this bunny to kind of look like he is in the forest. Things kind of growing around him. So this one a little more vertical, less curving in. We're going to let some of the pieces still hang out the sides. And some of the smaller pieces that I cut up out toward the front, but we don't want to hide much of our bunny structure here, so you can still see him really well in his little bit necktie. Then I'm going to use some of our ranunculus. I'm going to shave that off a little bit just so I get a little sharper edge on it. And that will allow me to stick those in. And we've got two colors of ranunculus that are very similar, so we're going to be using both of those. couple in the back, just because I like to have something back there. And then we're going to go out the side a little bit also. For the other side, I'm going to use some of this peony. But I'm going to leave some of the foliage where you can't see it. So I'm taking the foliage off of that because it's a little more green than I want for this really washed out color combination. So we're going to take the leaves off. But I can still use these, the bud. And then I'm going to be using a little bit of our pampas grass. We have so many different varieties of pampas grass. You can take your pick. This was just one that I like, that the color works really well with. I'm going to stick some of that in there. And I think pampas grass is a great time. Easter is a great time to bring out some of your pampas grass. Works really well with some of those softer textures, like your rabbits and the furs. Makes people think of fur, I guess, sometimes. So we just separate these pieces out a little bit so that they look a little more shaped, where you see all of the different sections. One more of these, and this one I'm probably going to cut in the middle so that I make two pieces out of it. I'll put one in the front, one in the back, and the best way to do that is to pull the branches down that you do not want to cut off, and then cut that so that you've got two smaller pieces. I've got one that I can use in the front. And a piece I can use in the back. Just for a little added texturing, I've got this sorghum spray and kind of a, I don't know, it's like a dried pink shade. Not my normal wire cutters. I've got to get those. Add all of this kind of to the same side. Move that out of the way. And then we're done with our pampas grass. Okay, so since I'm doing this facing you and not facing me, I would come around and look at what we've got going on here. It's getting pretty close. I think I want to add maybe another ranunculus spray in the front here because I got a little too much of my brown green coloration showing right here. And I think that ranunculus will really help balance that out a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good after that. So we've got two different versions of bunny bowls, and one's a little more French country, and the other one's a little more, natural greens and festive colors. We'll put those both together so you can see.
Both of these turned out so cute. It's really hard to pick a favorite, but we would like to know, do you like the little bunny in the whitewashed dough bowl in some of the more muted and lighter colors? Or do you like Mr. Big Bunny, who is ready to hop around in his darker colored, larger dough bowl with a little more of the greenery and colors? So they're both very pretty. I don't even know which one I like the best. So why don't you let us know in the comments, do you like little light colored bunny or standing bright colored bunny? And we'll be glad to read your responses and kind of get an idea of which one wins the contest.
The bunny contest?
Yeah, the bunny hop contest. So we hope that you like this video, that you subscribe, and that you turn your notifications on so that you don't miss the next video. We try to come to you every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and just have a good time, create some things, have some laughs, share our
health issues
now that we're getting a little bit older. And I know some of you are going to say you're not old, and we're not old. I don't feel old, but I do feel older because we are both in our 40s. Right? You are 40, right? You're in your 40s. And so while we don't feel like we have one foot in the grave, we also don't feel like a spring chicken, as the old saying goes. Or I don't. I mean, I still do fine, but there's days that it's like, oh, my hip, my back. And then people older than me are like, oh, just wait. Just you wait, little missy. You wait, little missy. You're going to be...
I think mine's more, I have a cardiologist. That's a sign of age.
Yeah, that's when you know you're getting older. And when you see your friends and you start to talk about how you talk about your back problems and your knee problems and your shoulders and your hips and all these joints, all I can say is we got to keep moving. We just got to keep moving, working, stay active. I know, we don't have a choice. The retirement age may be 85 by the time we are able to retire. So
or 105.
We still have a long road to go. Thank you for being here with us today. We hope to see you next time and that you have a wonderful, blessed weekend. Take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. Share the love with Valentine's Day coming up, because I know that we plan on doing that, sharing some love, and we have an anniversary coming up on February the 15th, 19 years of wedded bliss. So
she's breaking out all the corny. I'm sure being married to me is no joyride all the time.
Well, is being married to anybody a joyride all the time?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Maybe
it is to you.
Oh, being married to me is a joyride? Mm-hmm. Is that what you said last night when you were saying you want to do this, but you don't want to do that? You do want to do this, but you don't want to do that. I'm so confused. And I said, I'm so confused too.
I'm still very confused.
I don't know. Okay. It's like, what do women want? Sometimes we don't know.
They don't even know.
Sometimes we don't. And then sometimes we do. So I'm sorry. You just have to deal with it. See you next time.
Bye.